Hello and welcome to the morning sports briefing here on Monday, the 2nd of November. And I hope you're having a wonderful start to your week. In the news this morning, we have news from the world of cycling with the Tour of Southland kicking off yesterday, and obviously also the not being up to date with what's happening in the Vuelta a España. We'll bring you up to speed with what's been happening in the rugby over the weekend. The Silver Ferns also completed their test series against England at a sold-out arena in Hamilton. So we'll keep you up. We'll bring you up to date with the result there. We've got the next fight has been announced for Israel Adesanya, so I'll let you know about that one, as well as the results from Formula One, where the Grand Prix happened over the weekend, and we have our constructors champions have been named. This is your best way to start the day up to speed with all of the important sports news on what is a sunny and blue sky morning here in Hamilton. I hope the weather is lovely where you are too. So let's start off with that cycling news. So yes, the SBS Tour of Southland kicked off yesterday with its prologue, which was a team time trial. Basically a drag race around the park down there in Invercargill, and you've got to say, with the blustery, windy conditions, which is never, as we saw in the Giro d'Italia, can cause crashes when people are on their time trial bikes. But by the sounds of it, everyone got around safely, which is good around Queen's Park. In first place, we had the Business South team, which means that Tom Sexton will wear the yellow jersey for the first proper stage today. So the normally track cyclist having a good start on the road. He did mention that his team had a number of team pursuitists, track cyclists in their team, and they just rode it like a team pursuit. The teams of 6 riders and 4 riders, their first 4 riders finished together, which is what you needed. And so it's a team. Business South came first. In second place was Transport Engineering Tallies, led by Dylan Kennett over the line, and then Base Solutions Racing with Regan Goff leading them over the line. And so teams with 4 and 6 seconds back, respectively. Today sees the race go from Invercargill to Gore. It'll be leaving at 10 a.m. if you're available, so you can pop along and watch that, and arrive at around a couple of hours later at Gore, I think it is. The stage is pretty flat until they get into the last 100 Ks, where there's a couple of lumpy bits. So we'll see if anyone can take advantage of those risers at the end to break away and win, or whether this will finish in a sprint result. We'll bring you an update on that tomorrow. I think it's going to be a couple of days before we actually see what the actual general classification shake-up, though. But I say, yeah, a couple of opportunities perhaps towards the end of the stage today. Over in Vuelta a España, and it was one of the big days in the race, where they went up the Anguliri, which is a famous climb, averaging 14% with ramps of 22% up it. So a lot of riders were looking towards this one with a bit of trepidation. Hugh Carthy of EF Pro Cycling won the stage ahead of Astana's Alexandrov Velasov and Enric Mas of Movistar in that one. And Richard Carapaz, who's been on equal time with Primož Roglič for the past couple of days, managed to finish 10 seconds ahead of Roglič, so that the Ineos Grenadiers rider moves back into the leadership overall, and Jumbo-Visma rider is now in second. And Hugh Carthy moved up to third with that victory, seeing Dan Martin slip down to fourth. Also, Enric Mas sees himself now in fifth place. Unfortunately for him, his teammates Mark Soler, who won the other day, who climbed his 10th, has slipped back to 19th now. So one of the cards that Movistar had to play is not available to play anymore. George Bennett, the New Zealand rider for the Jumbo Visma, is sat at 11th overall, so nearly in the top 10. But I suppose his main job is helping Primoz Roglic try and win the race. So he's 10 seconds behind Richard Carapaz now overall. In other cycling news, the Tour Down Under, which is traditionally the first race of the UCI World Tour, has been cancelled because of the coronavirus. 400 people are required for the race to happen with the international teams, and yeah, clearly that is too much of a risk with coronavirus. So the Stuart O'Grady says they'll be running a domestic cycling festival instead, rather than the World Tour race for that one. Aaron lets us know that a bit of frost on the ground. Oh wow, up there in Auckland. Yes, it should be a nice warm day today. Moving on then into the netball, and the Silver Ferns beat England Roses in their third game. It was a tight first quarter where the Ferns pulled out a two-shot lead, 12-10, but then by half-time it was 26-19, and the gap just grew until the Silver Ferns won 60-47. Maria Wilson had a great day under the net, scoring 44 of her 47 shots. So congratulations to her. And that means a 3-0 series victory for the Silver Ferns over the England Roses. A number of changes to the Roses in this game, and with 7 players missing due to other netball commitments. This was always going to be a tough tour for the England Roses. But yes, it'll be. We're going to see some good battles between these sides in years to come, as the experience that has been built up for the England Roses now, and depth has always been an issue for that team. It was the 100th netball test between the two nations there, and New Zealand extends their winning streak now to 12 tests, stretching back to 1998. That's a long old time, folks. Yeah, 22 years now since England has beaten New Zealand in the netball. The Silver Ferns coach would love to see a series against Australia soon. Australia have not played a test this year, and she's hoping that as early as January that series could be set up between the Silver Ferns and the Diamonds from Australia. Moving on into UFC, and Israel Adesanya will be squaring off against Jan Blachowicz in his next fight. That means that the middleweight champion will be stepping up to the light heavyweight division for this fight. A date for it has not been set yet, but he's looking to try and become a two division belt holder in that one. So interesting move there for Israel. The Blachowicz and captured the title in UFC 253 last month with a second round TKO of Dominic Reyes. Blachowicz has got a 27-8 record, but it was won 8 out of his 9 last bouts. Clearly is now a belt holder. So it'll be an interesting one in sometime in the new year, probably around about Marchish is the expectation for that fight. Over in the Formula One, and Lewis Hamilton won the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix ahead of his teammate, and that means that Mercedes have won the constructors title in Formula One for this season. That's the 7th season on the trot that they have secured that one. So congratulations to Mercedes for that on that constructors title. Moving on then into the rugby, and yesterday England won the men's Six Nations with their expected win over Italy, and then France beat Ireland, but not by enough of a points difference for them to go top of the table. So England and France both finished on 18 points, but England's better points difference of positive points difference of 44 compared to 21 by France meant that they took the title. Ireland finished in third, ahead of Scotland, Wales, and Italy in last. That game between France and Ireland was saw some scintillating rugby. France for taking that out 35-27 after England had beaten Italy at 5-34, and Wales had lost to Scotland 10-14. Currently in the women's Six Nations, the France, Ireland, and the Wales, Scotland games both had to be postponed, but Italy, Ireland is taking place. So in the second half, it's a 0-24-28 to England, and looking England on their way to winning a Grand Slam, winning all their games in that Six Nations, women's Six Nations there. Looking at the Mitre 10 Cup then, and we had 3 games yesterday. We had, first off, the Bay of Plenty beat Hawke's Bay in Battle of the Bays, 22-17. A lot of play by Hawke's Bay. I'll be putting up my post-match interviews with the head coaches, and also 50th cap winner. I've gone blank as to the prop's name, but we'll be putting that one up later. 22-17 there for Hawke's Bay. For Bay of Plenty over Hawke's Bay. So they are now the Bay, and have gained that right. That's 5 years on the trot now that Bay of Plenty have won Battle of the Bays. Manawatu beat Southend 24-12. Southend having some injury issues, and yes, clearly that's Manawatu's first victory of the season for them. And it was a day for the bottom guys to win, because Counties Manukau also beats Taranaki 27-31, an away victory there, meaning that it's all very tight at the bottom of the championship. Southland on 11 points, Counties Manukau now on 10, and Manawatu now on 9. So really close there. Bit of a gap then up between Southland to Taranaki in the playoff positions of 6 points with 2 rounds to go. So Otago, Hawke's Bay, and Northland and Taranaki looking like the teams that probably will be in the championship finals. So even off the back of that loss, Hawke's Bay is still looking at a home semi-final with 2 games left to go. Up in the Premiership, and Auckland top the table, just 1 point ahead of Tasman, who are 2 points ahead of Taranaki. 2 points ahead of Waikato, 3 points ahead of Wellington. So very tight at the top there of the Premiership, and that goes all the way down. It's Bay of Plenty, only 3 points away from the finals positions, but also only 2 points ahead of Canterbury, who are in last with North Harbour in between them. So any of those, or even Canterbury, who are in last place on 19 points, could still technically climb up into the finals if they win their last 2 games, which are a tough couple of games for Canterbury. They've got Tasman away, followed by Auckland at home. So could we see Canterbury being relegated from the Premiership? We'll have to wait and see on that one. Don't forget, folks, you can listen to New Zealand Sports Radio on the go. Just search for us in your favourite podcatcher, be that Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of those wonderful places. Also, the best way that you can help us is if you click on that old share button in Facebook and share it with your friends, or just tell your friends by word of mouth. What an old-fashioned way that is about us. We do obviously love your comments and your likes. Those are all very nice, but those shares are really what would help us grow the station. So hope you have a wonderful start to your week, and I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. with the morning sports briefing. And don't forget to join Arswin this evening at 8 p.m. for Swinging from the Hip, our cricket, your weekly cricket fix. Then on Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. we'll have the Driving Wall Show, your weekly rugby fix. And the Standoff Show will be moving from Wednesday to Thursday this week because of the State of Origin, which is on Wednesday. Brad will bring you that on Thursday at 8 p.m. So don't forget to join us for those shows, as well as the 7 a.m. every morning here on New Zealand Sports Radio with the morning sports briefing.